and welcome to the webinar. I'm Maddie, the founder of LaunchBot. I've been working with startups, social enterprises and small businesses for 15 years. I work with marketing and websites to help grow good ideas, and it pains me physically to see so many people investing time and money into marketing that doesn't work. So I'm trying to help people with a few tips to do this better. Most marketing advice that my clients hear assumes you have 40 hours a week to spend on marketing or 80 hours a week to spend on marketing. And most small business owners don't have that. So agency advice, a lot of advice that's out there in the blogs and things comes from marketing agencies, and that advice is targeted towards enterprises, huge companies with thousands of employees and massive budgets, because that's where the agencies make their most money from. Those are their best clients. So enterprises run a completely different marketing business model to us. Enterprises are concerned about things like brand sentiment, like whether people feel happy when they hear the name of their brand or whether it makes them feel sad and think about plastic pollution or something. So they're willing to spend millions of dollars on things like impressions and 3-second video views. These teeny tiny vanity metrics that might give it, if you had millions of dollars, they might give an overall impression of an impact that your marketing campaign was having. But for us, those are vanity metrics. They're just fluff. So a lot of marketing data and information will help you get more impressions or video views, but the video views are only 3-second views, which is about the time it takes to pause for a moment and then keep scrolling. And it's not designed for small businesses which need sales fast. Then there's the other end of the advice coming from Instagram and TikTok marketing consultants, which tells you that you need to be posting 3 reels a day to build an organic following. And that kind of thing is just so stressful and time consuming for very little reward. If you value your time and you put a price on how much time that sort of thing takes you, then that's a massive marketing investment, and that money could be much better spent more effectively elsewhere. So there is another way, and I want to show you a proven data-driven approach that tells you where to put your time to achieve the most impact for your business. It assumes that the less time you spend on marketing, the better. It assumes your budget is constrained and that you need to get the most amount of money out of every marketing dollar spent. It's entirely focused on getting the most sales out of your marketing budget. The process that we're going to go through today might be different to what you've heard before. So our process, the LaunchBot process, we start by looking at who already buys your product. You don't define who your customer is. You don't decide that. You look at who already buys your product, who it's already working for. Then you get to know them on a really deep level, deep as understanding what they're most afraid of or what drives them, really fundamentally deep level. Then you find out where those people spend their time online, and you go to where they already are. You don't try and get them to come to you. Then you look at what channels reach the most paying customers for the least amount of spend. And then you run small tests to determine how to bring those two things together, how to get the most paying customers, the most buyers, using the most effective channels. For some background into this, in a lot of old school marketing advice, marketers were encouraged to put ads on billboards and TV because they reached the largest amount of people. But there was no real way of knowing whether an ad led someone to buy. If there was a bump in sales in the week you ran a billboard, you assumed it was because of the billboard, but it could have been something completely different. It could have been that a similar product to you did a campaign, or there was a news headline about something that related to your product or that caused people to buy your product for a different reason. You had no transparency into whether your billboard or your TV ad that might cost $50,000 or $100,000 actually had any impact. You just kind of hoped and guessed. And that's why marketing has this kind of image of being sort of fluffy and hard to measure and hopeful, because in the olden days, people didn't really know whether their ads were working. They didn't have total clarity as to the impact each ad had. Big enterprises, again, can still afford that kind of extravagance because they still get value out of general impressions and brand sentiment. But most of us small businesses need to know that our marketing spend is making sales, otherwise that's wasted spend. So today, digital ads can reach the entire world. It used to be that the 6 p.m. news TV slot would reach everyone because everyone watched the 6 p.m. news because there were only 2 channels or 1 channel. Now there's so much fragmentation that there's no one place you can go to reach everyone, but digital ads one ad can go around the entire world. The internet can also tell us when a digital ad leads to a sale. So big, massive platforms like Facebook and Google make their money from selling ads. And the way the internet is built, they could conceivably charge you for every ad view that led to a sale. And that would be awesome. You could be like, okay, this ad view cost me $3, but then I made a sale that cost me $30, that gained me $30, so I'm up $27. Great, I'm winning. They don't do that. Instead, they choose to charge you for every click on your ad because you can make a lot more money from clicks than sales because a lot more people click than buy. It also means that those networks are financially biased towards showing your ad to clickers rather than buyers. And that's massive. So a lot of you will have had the experience of trying to run an ad on Facebook, getting 1,000 clicks, paying for every single click, getting all this traffic, which bounces in under 2 seconds. And no one buys. So you've spent $1,000 and had no sales, and you start to panic. And digital ads start to feel really scary, and like they can get out of control when that sort of thing happens to you. So in most cases, digital ads are still the most cost-effective way to reach the largest amount of people. In most industries, for most products and services, they're still the way to go, but we need to work really hard to hone the algorithm to show the ads to likely buyers rather than likely clickers, and that's how we make it work for us. So what success looks like in this model, successful marketing for small businesses means targeting your digital ads so tightly, so narrowly, that the ads are only being shown to the people who are most likely to become your customers. Because you pay for every click on digital ads, you want the smallest number of clicks to lead to the largest amount of purchases. So in other words, you want to show your ads to the least amount of people who make the most purchases. That way you save money on clicks and you gain money on sales. So good ad targeting means knowing the characteristics of the people who make the most purchases. I have this theory that I've been testing for 15 years, and I'm pretty confident in it, that most people buy from the place of their deepest fear or deepest desire. If you pull back all the layers of what's leading them to buy, it's usually a big primal fear, like fear of death, or a big primal desire, like wanting to find someone to fall in love with. I used to work for a web development school, and they ran courses for people changing careers into web development. So you might think, okay, their customer is people who love tech and want to learn to code. I looked at the data and saw that the majority of the customers were single and around 28 or 29 years old. So I put all my ads on Tinder. Because when I interviewed people, when I looked into the data, it became clear that a lot of the customers were at a point in their life where they wanted to move towards, real adulthood, or they wanted to move towards the stage of their life where they would have a partner, they would have a good job in coding, they would have a house. They were at this point of transition where they wanted their life to move into a more typically adult framework. So they were doing this course, they were looking for a better job, but they were also often looking for love. And they wanted the course to make them seem attractive and cool and fun. And I put all of that into the ads, and it was super effective. So you have to understand your buyers well enough to know what's driving them on the primal subconscious level. But how do you do that? How do you know who your highest purchasers are? How do you know what features the buyers on your website have in common? How do you know what attributes to use in your ad targeting to make the most sales? How do we figure that out? Sounds like magic. The answer is understanding your customers comes from analytics. We actually have all the data at our fingertips for free. It just takes some know-how to get value out of it. Today we're going to dive quickly into analytics to answer this question: who is the paying customer really, and how do we get more out of them? How do we get more of them? You need Google Analytics installed in your website. I'll post a link. It just involves making a free Google Analytics account, and then they give you some code to put in your website. If you're using Webflow or Squarespace or something, they make that super easy. Most of you will already have Google Analytics installed. If you don't, go ahead and add it after this course. I can share the link. to grow your business efficiently, you need analytics. I can't think of a way of doing it in an efficient, time-effective way without having analytics and data to drive your decision making. You just end up wasting heaps of time on guesses if you don't have hard data to guide your decision making. So for this example, I'm going to use the analytics of my incredible client, Switched On Bikes. They do e-bike rental in Wellington for commuters and tourists. You might have seen their stalls on the Wellington waterfront if you've been here. They have this cool scheme where commuters can rent to buy an e-bike, so something like $50 a week to try it out, and once they decide they like it, they're already halfway to ownership. So it's a really cool business, and they're doing heaps for our carbon footprint, and I really like working with them. So Ryan, the owner, brought me in a month or two ago to clean up their marketing setup and make their marketing spend lead to more sales. So we'll jump into Switched On Bikes Analytics. Cool. So when I think of targeting buyers, I think of two things: buyer characteristics and converting channels. So this is your average Google Analytics dashboard. We go into reports and we start to think about buyer characteristics. Over here on the left, you've got all these different ways of looking at your data. If you don't have all of these, you can add them by going to the library. The library has all the different ways to look at data, and you pick the ones you want to see on your menu here. So we're going to go into user attributes and demographic details because we want to know the human features of our buyers. So by default, Google Analytics, I'll just put this on the right time frame. Always do the right time frame first, which is easier said than done. By default, Google Analytics shows you this country view first. So Switched On Bikes are targeting New Zealand commuters and tour boat customers. So we kind of know the country that the customers are coming from, and often in an e-commerce business you kind of know the country. So this is not that useful data, and it's interesting that they show this one to you first. But if you go to this teeny tiny drop-down menu here, you suddenly have access to all this incredibly interesting information that is basically hidden from you. So we can get the age of our customers. Here it's ranked by active users, so unknown or not set, these are people that use ad blockers or for some reason Google can't figure out their characteristics, so we ignore them. Over 65-year-olds are the highest number of users in this period, but I'm not actually interested in the highest number of users because remember, heaps of your users will bounce immediately, and we don't want to be giving ads to people that bounce. We want to be giving ads to people that buy. So if we scroll down, what I'm really interested in is key events and the key event rate. So this setup requires event tracking has been set up. So I've set up event tracking using Google Tag Manager, and I've put a purchase event on Switched On Bikes buy button and hire button. So when a customer comes to the website and clicks on buy or hire, it sends Google Analytics an event, which I can then use in this data. It's super useful. I'm not going to go into how to do that today, but I'll share a blog. There's a link that I will share from the LaunchBot site that tells you how to set up your event tracking so that you can track purchase events as well. Why that's interesting is I can then see, so key events are things that I've got events like buying the product, looking at signing up to the wait list, using the contact form, and then I've defined some of these as key events. So that's buying, pretty much people that buy. So I can then rank customers by the number of purchases, by the amount of purchases they make per customer. And you see when we do that, the numbers completely flip. Now it's 18 to 24-year-olds that make the most purchases. I have a couple of events. I have hiring and renting, so I'm going to use all events and rank the numbers by there. And we see that 25 to 34-year-olds they're my target market because they do the most purchases and hires. So that's really interesting. If I just looked at numbers of people, I would be targeting ads at 65-year-olds. Now I'm targeting ads at 30-year-olds. Couldn't be more different. So knowing the conversion rate of a customer group is more important than knowing the number of customers that come. And that, I cannot stress that enough. If you haven't got event tracking set up, Google will try and do this for you. They'll sort of guess whether a button is a purchase button. So this information might be a little bit helpful, but getting event tracking set up is a really important step in using analytics properly. So I will share that link. After age, we can look at gender, which gender is making the most purchases. And you can see that while I'm doing this, I'm thinking, how am I going to target my meta ad? What information do I need to target my meta ad? So if we go back to users, there more women are using the site than men. And if we look at key events, we can see that women are also making more purchases. Great. So 30-year-old women so far. There are, billions or hundreds of millions of 30-year-old women in the world. So how are we going to refine this down? We know New Zealand and the US, but how are we going to refine it more? We look at interests. This is a goldmine. I cannot believe they don't put this first. You need to be getting about 2,000 customers to your website a month, so about 125 a day, to be getting this information. Otherwise, Google blocks it because they think that you'll know too much about individual users. So if you can't see interests, then what I would do is just run ads to get traffic to your site, to then see this information, to then target your ads better. It'll feel like kind of a redundant scheme, but if you think of it as building up your data to make better ads in a month or so, then it's worth it. So our 30-year-old women, another comment on the gender is the browser is guessing what gender you are based on your browsing habits. So it's very dubious, and take it with a grain of salt, and they don't track gender diverse or non-binary genders. So it's pretty sketchy. They think about it on a population level. If you think of on an individual level, you cannot guess someone's gender identity by looking at their browsing habits. But on a population level, you can. 6 billion people you can, or 4 billion with internet, make some assumptions about what a gender a person is by looking at browsing habits. So take it with a grain of salt. But the ad targeting uses the same assumptions, more or less. So it's still useful information for targeting ads. So which interests lead to the most purchases? We've got fans of South Asian film, fashion, shopping, world music, sci-fi movies, comedies, cooking, fitness. These are the Americans. Transport, because they're into cycling. Okay, so I'm getting a bit of a picture here of a 30-year-old woman who is interested in travel, maybe, and going to different parts of the world, who loves entertainment, who loves kind of escapism, imagining things, and entertaining, probably. Likes maybe being with other people, movie nights, travel, probably interesting international cuisine, has a big circle of friends, likes to really enjoy life, loves good flavors, loves travel, a bit adventurous. So I'm building up this picture of the type of person that I'm going to target my ad at. So then I start to think, what content will appeal to that person? So I'm trying to get them to rent an e-bike. So maybe I'm showing them out on a bike with all their friends, having a big laugh, going somewhere really interesting and new. So I'll put maybe a secret location that's visually beautiful, not many people know about, near Wellington, and I'll show them all going there on e-bikes. I'll make it a video so it's dynamic, and I'm going to target it at women who are 30 and who are interested in travel, gourmet, international cuisine, have a vibrant social life, and interested in different forms of entertainment and entertaining. Cool. So I've got an idea of the buyer characteristics. Now I want to look at the converting channels. So where are they spending their time online, and where can I reach them for the lowest amount of cost? So I look at acquisition. This is how the website acquires users. So again, the default view is completely inane. Like, what? Where is it telling me? Yeah, so this doesn't tell you if it's Facebook that's helping you or LinkedIn that's bringing traffic to your site. It's completely broad. But again, if we go to this teeny tiny drop down, we can find which source and medium brought the user to your site the first time. So in terms of number of users, we're getting heaps from organic Google search, so SEO is working well. And we're getting, the next one down is cost per click, so these are the Google ads that I'm running for them. So that's interesting, but I'm not interested in who brings the most traffic. I'm interested in who brings the most converting traffic. So let's go back to, why can't I scroll? Let's go back to our key event rate. So that's the number of purchases per user. Change the number based on that, and suddenly we've got very different information. So, wow, that's interesting. Right, so we've only had one user come from ChatGPT, but they have made a purchase. So that's really funny. That's really interesting to me. You can do something called GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, that makes things like ChatGPT mention your business or your website or encourages them to mention your website when someone asks, what's the best tour to do in Wellington, or what are some fun things to do in Wellington? So we might do some more of that, since that's a highly converting source. So one user is not really enough to make good assumptions about. But yeah, that's definitely something we could do, is try and make Switched On Bikes come up more in ChatGPT when people ask about Wellington. So that would involve me writing a GEO blog, a couple of GEO blogs with lots of facts and figures and data that then ChatGPT can find and incorporate into its results. So Facebook, and then a lot of business partnerships. Instagram has 6 users with a 66% conversion rate. That's great. So we could scale that by having Instagram ads and make that 600, and then we'd have 450 purchases, which would be awesome. Let's have a look at who has more numbers. Okay, so Google Organic. Google Organic has lots of users, and we've got a 60% conversion rate. That's really good. Then my ads that I'm running on Google search also have a 60% conversion rate, so that's really good. So Google Organic, I can only increase those numbers by doing more and more and more SEO work and blogs, so I can do that. But Google Ads are really easy to scale. So we've got 180 users with a 60% conversion rate, and I'm spending about maybe $100 a week on that. So if I increase that to $1,000 a week, then we'd be getting 660 purchases, which is incredible. Like, that's so good for business. So that's really good for me to know. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find traffic that's bringing a fair amount of people and has a really high conversion rate. Then I can scale the traffic by putting more money on those ads, and I can assume that that conversion rate will also scale. So that's really interesting. So I might put that ad I was talking about with the dynamic outgoing 30-year-old woman on Instagram and Google search, and target ads towards her on those two channels, Google Ads. So because that's an easy place for me to put ads, and I know that it's got a good conversion rate. So my conversions on Switched On Bikes include hiring and purchasing, buying a bike, hiring a bike, and renting a bike. Those are different conversion sources. So what I've done is I've made a custom report here that looks at all those conversion sources and takes together all the Google traffic and gives me an overall conversion rate for that period. So this goes into a little bit more detail. And okay, Google Organic's got that 52% conversion rate, which is great. Google Ads, 51%. Usually digital ads, we're happy with a 3% conversion rate. So this method of getting to know the paying customer really well is so powerful for increasing that conversion rate. So if I was spending $100 a week with a 3% conversion rate, and everyone, paid $30, paid $10 for the product, I would be making $30 out of that $100 ad spend, whereas now we're making $500. The impact in increasing the conversion rate per ad spend on your bottom line is massive. Facebook, I haven't done any ads there, so it's not got much. 4% actually, without any effort, is fine. 60% conversion rate again on Instagram, so that's validated that. That's great. LinkedIn, I have actually run an ad on LinkedIn. 0% conversion rate. So now I know, even though I got a bit of traffic, got 100 people for I can't remember how much money I put on it, no conversion. So now I know to kill that ad and put all the budget on my Google ad and on a new Instagram ad. Okay, so doing all of this takes me about 16 hours in total. So 8 hours to set up all the events and things, and then 8 hours to do a full data review, build the custom reports, and write a report for my client. It's a lot. So I built LaunchBot to do it for me. So LaunchBot is an app that I built. You sign in with your Google account, the same account you use for your analytics. It gives you, these are all the accounts that I have analytics access to because I'm a marketer, so I have lots of clients. You click on your website, that takes those crucial data points that I just went through, gets them all together, runs them through some numbers, and then uses AI to build a fleshed out buyer profile for you. So this is the data it's using on the left. We've got their top interests with their engagement rate and revenue. We've got top genders for the website, buying engagement, and top age. So it's looking at lots, I was looking at conversion rate, it's looking at lots of different data points in case you don't have those conversion events set up. So it's also looking at engagement and revenue that's coming from these interests. So we've got 65-year-olds and 25 to 34-year-olds. Women are the most highly engaged, so that was the same. We've got travel buffs, that's what we were thinking, newsreaders, shoppers, tech, into entertaining and inspiring chefs, so that was all stuff that we thought looking at the Google Analytics. We know they're from New Zealand and the US. Oh yeah, because Google organic search was a big channel, a big converting channel, looking at the search terms that bring people to your website is also really valuable. So you can add this in by adding your Google Search Console account to your analytics account, and I'll share a blog on how to do that. And this tells me what search terms brought people to the website organically. So as you'd expect, there's a lot of e-bike hire stuff, but this is great. There's also bike hire. So we're not just getting people interested in e-bikes, we're getting people interested in all bikes, and then we're saying, oh, have you thought about e-bikes as an option? There's also this bike rental, which is really interesting to me because I've used the term bike hire a lot in the SEO content and in the ads, but I haven't been using the word rental. So now I know to add the word rental to the website more so that it comes up higher on Google when people search for bike rental, and we'll be able to get these numbers increasing. So this is good information to have. So if you've added your search terms into your analytics, LaunchBot will help you with that as well and tell you which users are doing that key event and are engaged. But you don't even need to look at any of this because LaunchBot takes all of that and builds the buyer profile for you on the right. So they've created this buyer persona. Her name's Joanna Clark. She's that 30-year-old woman we were talking about. She's into tourism, and this is her income. So it takes those features and those interests that we looked at, and then it fleshes out a character, a buyer persona for you to start to imagine this person in detail like we did, and then you can start to think about what ads will appeal to them. So it's the buyer persona. Joanna is a passionate traveller who loves exploring new destinations. Her favourite spot is Thailand. She loves Thai street food. She's an avid reader of blogs. She loves photography. She has a dog. She's into sustainable, eco-friendly travel, which makes sense because she's into e-bikes. And she dreams of opening a travel agency. Thinking about your persona's dreams and aspirations are another powerful lever for making ads that speak to them. Colours like teal and green resonate with her. She might spend Sunday participating in a local beach cleanup. So this is fiction. Obviously, you can't know this sort of thing from looking at the data. But if we take all the data and we start to imagine a fleshed out persona, this sort of thing can make our ads really powerful. So I don't know for a fact that buyers like the colour teal and green, but I might actually add it into the ads because it works for this persona. It works for the idea of the person I'm trying to target. Then it gives suggestions for where they might spend their time online based on their interests. And these are places that you might think about placing ads. Reddit are travel blogs, so I could be posting organic content on Reddit in our travel, or I could be responding to people's questions in our travel by saying, check out these e-bikes. We've actually Switched on Bikes is already running ads on TripAdvisor, so that's a good suggestion because that brings us traffic. Instagram we know is a good channel, it's converting. So these are all really good ideas for places you could place your ads or do collaborations or do joint giveaways or do joint blogs or feature them on your blog. Lots of these places where you can reach your buyer persona where they are, not trying to bring them to you, but reaching them where they already are. They probably do spend a lot of time on Airbnb because they're adventurous and social and like being outgoing. So is there a partnership you could offer here? Is there an Airbnb giveaway? Is there something that could attract them based on their interests? Cool, so that's the buyer persona. Then LaunchBot looks at all the data and tells you which channels to use to reach or like which channels are highly converting. So this is where people are coming from to your site. New Zealand's bringing traffic. Organic search is good. Google Organic has a high conversion rate. And switched on bikes is also bringing a lot of traffic. This is the website bringing itself traffic, so that's not that useful. But yeah, so this is telling us what we thought, that Google Organic has a high conversion rate, so working on SEO would be really good, and bolstering that with more paid ads would be really good. Then it gives you next steps, so it combines the buyer persona with the converting channels, and it tells you what to do next to grow your business. Basically, it's doing that full data analysis for you in about 3 minutes instead of 16 hours. So the ideas it suggested are boosting local SEO, so writing travel articles to get up on Google, great idea. Host virtual travel experiences, collaborate with local travel blogs or Airbnb to conduct virtual tours of scenic spots. Great, that's what I was thinking when I saw that earlier, because I think that will attract a customer that's interested in travel and who's socially outgoing. Use Instagram for influencer partnerships. Instagram we've recognised as a converting channel, so that's a good suggestion. And work with ecotourism organisations to make sustainable travel content. Yeah, all really good. I think that will actually appeal to the people who are buying this product. So these are good suggestions that it's come up with. You can get them emailed to you. You pick the ones you like, and then LaunchBot tracks your progress over here. So it makes a to-do list for you. Once you've ticked them off, it celebrates for you. And you can track your revenue every month so that you can see whether running ads from LaunchBot is helping you, and it does a little visualization for you. So you just write in your own numbers of how much money you're making from your customers and see whether LaunchBot ads are working, and they do. So that's LaunchBot. Check it out. It's kind of amazing. It takes all of that data analytics work out of it for you, and it does it for you. A premium account, you can do it on multiple websites, but a basic account is super cheap, something like $9.99 US, and it'll just do your website. That's a month. For today only, we've got a special where if you use the code sapling50, you get 50% off. That expires at midnight. So go ahead, sign up today if you're interested. Otherwise, we've got a new webinars coming up soon. We'll have one on AI flow for quick ads experimentation and one on setting up Google Tag Manager and analytics properly, so getting those events working. So follow us to stay tuned for when those are announced, or join the mailing list on the website. We're also, I'll just drop your email in the chat and we can put you on the mailing list for you. We're also offering an online course in marketing for startups and small businesses to go through the full process in detail. That's early next year and goes into the details of how to do this process. Check out launchbot.app/workshops for more info. Your marketer makes back the investment in the course, or you get your money back, so it's a pretty good deal. All right, thanks so much for coming. I've had a lot of fun, and are there any questions?